Hey everybody, this video is part 2 of Java classes. So in the previous video we talked about the traits and information, which were its data fields, and the ability to build one through a constructor. So the last part is just going to be about actions that can be done inside a Java class. So we'll go to that part of the notes. So actions within a class. Note that actions are always going to be in the form of methods. Methods within a class allow an object to perform any of its actions. Now, you could put literally any type of method inside of a class, but there are some specific types of methods that you'll want to keep in mind that most classes commonly do have. The first type of method is called the accessor method. So this allows us to grab information. So going back to our cell phone example, let's say I want to get a piece of information about the cell phone. I would write an accessor method to get this piece of information, and we'll talk about this later. It's going to grab information from the data fields, usually, and accessor methods usually have some type of return type. So let's try to write an accessor method right now. So I am going to go back into BlueJ into my cell phone class. And typically I want to put methods after the data fields and the constructors. So what I will do right now is I am going to make a method. This is an accessor method. And when you buy a phone, you typically want to know how large the screen size is before you buy it. So in this first accessor method, I'm going to grab the screen size of the phone. Now notice I cannot usually access any of the private data fields outside of the method. They say private for a reason, because we do not want any user to be able to see all the features of our phone. What if it has a phone number? We don't want any user to be able to see that, maybe only certain users. So we will create an accessor method. So public, just like any other method, and then we can call this, since we're grabbing the screen size, we'll call it getScreenSize. Whatever we want. Usually an accessor method will not need parameters because we're not needing any information. We're just trying to spit out information. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to return that data field or instance variable associated with the screen size of the phone. And that is up here. I am going to copy that exact name and return it. So I'm going to return, oops, guess it didn't copy it right, but anyway, I'm going to return screen size, the exact name of the data field. Now to figure out my return type, just think, what data type is screen size? Because in this case it was double, so my return type will also be double, because that's the value I want to give back. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my runner and just call this method. So we've got our public double screen size. I will actually copy and paste this into part C. So part C, what I will do is I'm just going to call a class method to grab the blue phone's screen size, and then I'm going to print it. Well, I'm going to actually store it in a variable and then print it. So what I'll do is I will just go ahead and look at that method header, comment that out because it's not part of my code, and I want to look at my blue phone. So what's the name of my blue phone? Well, the name of the blue phone is iPhone, so I'm just going to type iPhone dot, and then the method name, which is get screen size. The next thing I want to do is I want to store this in a variable. So we'll just call this variable x. And then I've never declared x, so I have to figure out what data type should x be. Well, because get screen size returns a double, x also has to be double. And then I can just print this value out. So that will call my accessor method. The next thing I want to do is, let's go to my mutator method. So let's say I want to change the properties of my cell phone. Let's say I don't want it to be a blue phone anymore. I want it to be a different color. So I will write a mutator method in order to do this. So a mutator method, a mutator changes something. A mutator method is also known as a set method. It changes information, oftentimes changing the value of the data field, and usually nothing is returned in a mutator method. So its return type will typically be void. So I'm going to go make my own mutator method here first. I'll go back to my cell phone class. I will make my mutator method. So in my mutator method, I am going to change the phone's color. So I will do public. I'll say set color, so I could set the phone's color to a new one. And then what I will do is I will need to set the data field to a new color. So we need a parameter. Since we're using string, let's just go ahead and copy and paste string color, but I want a different name than color for my parameter, so I'll call it color, like this. And so I will set the name of the data field. I'll put that on the left, just like my constructors. I put the data field on the left, the parameter on the right. So I first collect my data field, color, put it on the left, and then I put my parameter name, which is this weird color, on the right. And that's all I do. This will change the data field's value to whatever the parameter's value is. Oh, and then I need to put a return type. Now, did I return anything? I did not. So for this reason, I will make the return type void. Compile that to save it, and now I will go ahead and change my phone color. So actually, I will put this into part D, change, and I will change the color of, change the yellow, I'm sorry, the blue phone into a yellow phone. So I'm going to just look at my mutator method. I'm just going to copy and paste that in just for reference. Not that I have to do it. I'm just going to do that so that you can get a better visual. I'll comment that out because that's not part of the code. And then I will just say, okay, what's the name of my blue phone? Well, the name, my blue phone's up here. Its name is iPhone. So I will change that iPhone and then dot set color. Now in this case, I need something in the parameter, so I need a string. I will call it yellow. And now the cell phone will change to a yellow color. The last method that we will do is the toString method, and I'm going to put that in another video, so just stay tuned.